Hey guys, it is Super Bowl Sunday. That's right, it is Sunday, February 7th, 2021. And after doing a celebration live stream to commemorate the 1 year anniversary of the launch of the Rockzilla's weekly Roundup podcast, I did a small live stream, and I didn't know if I would have the time to sit down and do a stream or not. And thankfully I did. I didn't do it for a long time, but I did it anyway, and I do believe there was somebody who was actively watching me as I streamed, which was cool. So ever since last week, I actually have been thinking about the future of the weekly Roundup podcasts. So I don't know, I don't want to get your hopes up about it, but I am actually thinking about possibly having a point in time, if I keep doing these podcasts, where maybe I do like a monthly, weekly Roundup live stream, where instead of it just being a podcast, it could be about a half an hour long or even an hour long live stream once a month. And I think something like that might actually be a really good thing. But the problem is my internet's not the greatest, and when I live with my family, sometimes it could be a little bit noisy, and there is sometimes, to be honest, a chance of the odd interruption, and it does happen. So when I do live streams, I do my best to make sure that I'm able to do them without any interruptions and with as little interference as possible, and with the best internet connection as possible. Sometimes I have noticed over the past few years that with live streaming, I've had this issue with my internet. And the problem is that my main computer is quite a bit older, and when it comes to live streaming, it takes up more broadband for your internet than normal. So that's something that has played into my considerations and why I don't do very much in terms of live streaming. So in the future, I think what I'm actually going to consider doing, now that I'm thinking about it, is I may pull out my newer computer and give a test stream with that to see how the quality is. I'm sure that it'll be better than my current computer, my main computer, I mean. But yeah, we'll see. I'll definitely consider that, and I'm actively considering some type of format change to the weekly roundups, where maybe moving forward as early as next month, I'll start doing one live stream roundup podcast every month. I think something like that would actually go really well. But yeah, we'll see on that one, because sometimes my schedules can be unpredictable, and sometimes my computer and my internet can also be unpredictable. Well, computers. But yeah, no, it's something I've been thinking about since last week, but I don't want to get your hopes up because I haven't quite decided what I'm going to be doing with them just yet. So if I do make a change, I will let you know. So obviously today is the Super Bowl. The Buccaneers, led by Tom Brady, making his 10th Super Bowl appearance, will be playing Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs. It will be a great game, I'm sure. And actually, the halftime show is the first halftime show that I have seen in a long time that's actually got me a little bit excited. The Weeknd is the first mainstream artist that I've heard in a long time that actually has a few songs that I think are actually not too bad. So, Shakira and Jennifer Lopez, their performance last year was actually not bad. I've seen some performances in recent years, and I know that the NFL's trying to target younger age brackets with their halftime shows these days. But, I feel that as the past decade has gotten closer and closer to today, in 2021, I feel that the quality of the Super Bowl halftime acts haven't been quite as good. At least I haven't cared for them as much. Obviously, it depends on your taste in music. Because growing up, I got to see Bruce Springsteen play in the halftime show. And I wasn't at the Super Bowl, by the way. I'm just watching on TV. I've seen Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers on TV. Prince. Those were 3 halftime shows that were fantastic. And I've seen those growing up. And those are ones that I remember, especially Prince playing Purple Rain when it was actually raining during his halftime show. That was really cool. So, I'm hoping that this year's Super Bowl performance is actually something that's hopefully good. And it's nice to see a different artist performing at the Super Bowl for a change, because I've noticed they've gone. In the past few years, we've seen Bruno Mars a fair bit. We've seen Maroon 5. Those are not my cups of tea, to be honest. I mean, I think they're good artists. They're just not what I like to listen to. So, The Weeknd actually has a few songs that I do like, such as Blinding Lights. And hopefully he puts on a good Super Bowl halftime show. Lady Gaga actually wasn't bad either. But, I mean, in terms of my favorite ones, they'd have to be Prince, Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers, and Bruce Springsteen for sure. So hopefully The Weeknd's performance will be memorable, for all the right reasons. Now, going into the big game, Patrick Mahomes, I know he did take a bit of a rough hit where he was in concussion protocol, and I believe it was during the game. Was it against the Browns, or was it against... Yeah, it was against the Browns where he was in concussion protocol a little bit. I'm wondering if he could be potentially having some injury issues today. But he's had a couple weeks since the AFC Championship game over Buffalo that they won for him to recover more. So I'm sure that if he was playing against the Bills, he's probably going to be fine for today's game. But that's something to look at. But on the flip side with Tampa Bay, their defense has been solid and Tom Brady's just been, Tom Brady. The guy is a legend. Never doubt Brady, as my boss at my work would say. Never doubt Brady. He's so right. I know this is just another Super Bowl out of the many Super Bowls that he has played in, let alone won. But in my opinion, I think this will be one of the Super Bowls that Tom Brady wants the most. And I think that, clearly there was a little bit of a rift between, at least in my opinion, between Bill Belichick and Tom Brady. And Tom Brady, from what I've seen and heard, at least in my opinion, got a little bit tired of what was going on in New England and said, okay, I'm going to go play for somebody else. And I think that for a guy such as Tom Brady, I think he wants to prove that it wasn't just Bill Belichick's excellent coaching systems throughout the past 20 years, or system, that got him to his Super Bowl stardom. I think Tom Brady has something he wants to prove tonight, and it's that he can play with any coach. He is the winningest quarterback of all time because of how good Tom Brady is. Not just the fact that Tom Brady is a great quarterback who plays with a great coaching system that suits him to a T. When you see that the Patriots this season did not make the playoffs for the first time in a while, let's just say, I've been calling it the Patriots division for a long time because you've had the Bills, you've had the Dolphins, and you've had the Jets, where the Jets have been mediocre. The Dolphins have actually gotten better in recent years, and the Bills, for the first time since basically I was a baby, are actually relevant again, which I'm very happy for the folks in Buffalo, and they even won the division this year. But until this year, with Tom Brady, I just called it the New England division because the Patriots would always win that division, no problem. The other teams would be lucky to qualify for a wild card spot. But the Patriots didn't make the playoffs this year, and Tom Brady goes to the Buccaneers, and Ron Gronkowski goes with him. And now they're in the Super Bowl, the first season those two guys get there. So I think Tom Brady has something extra he really wants to prove to everybody, and it's that he is the one who gets the job done. Not Bill Belichick's coaching system, not Bruce Arians' coaching systems, not anybody but him. And I think Tom Brady has something he really wants to prove today. And I think that this is going to be his most desired Super Bowl in a long, long time. I really do, because as I say, I think that man has something he wants to prove to the football and sports world. I really do believe that Tom Brady has something deep down inside of him that he wants to prove today. And it's that he can win with any system because he is the greatest of all time. That's what I think is going through that man's head right now. And, it's going to be a hell of a game. I can't wait to see it. The Buccaneers are going to be wearing their white uniform with pewter pants, and the Chiefs are going to wear their regular home reds. It's going to be a good-looking uniform matchup. I've noticed that quite a few of the playoff games have had decent-looking uniform matchups this year, which is a good trend. It's got to stay that way, and I'd like to see that make its way more into the regular season, rather than seeing teams like Buffalo in constant monochrome, or one-piece leotards where the socks and the pants are the same color. But now moving on to the NHL. I noticed that quite a few of the reverse retro uniforms have made their debuts in the past week. So Minnesota debuted theirs. It looks great, but I'm not a fan of the Minnesota Wild's crest being recolored. I actually would have preferred if they would have just left their crest alone and made the green on it Kelly green. I think that would have been better. But also, I think that if they were going to go with use the Minnesota Wild crest, they should have at least, if they would have made the jerseys green color forest green instead of Kelly green and used their regular crest on the front, I think that should be a new away jersey with a matching home uniform. I think that would be amazing. I know there are fans out there that love the green, beige, and red. I don't. I think it's time for the Wild to go at least to forest green and gold. And I've been saying this for a long time. And if they don't do that, something else I'd love to see them do is actually try to rebrand as the Minnesota North Stars. But I don't think that's ever going to happen. And I don't know if the NHL would be too comfortable with Minnesota doing that after being the Wild for the past 20 years now. So, But, as I say all of that, Minnesota did scrap a black third jersey that was supposed to debut last season. Then they bring out this new reverse retro this season. And as soon as this pandemic is over, Minnesota is supposed to be hosting a Winter Classic against the St. Louis Blues. And, Minnesota will obviously have something that isn't their reverse retro uniform for that game too, eh? But then, are they going to have a new third jersey at some point? Who knows? But Minnesota's uniform identity over the next 5 years is going to be interesting. Now, if this pandemic ever finally ends, which I hope and pray, and I know you guys are on the same boat as me, we all hope and pray that this pandemic ends soon. I I think once Minnesota brings out a Winter Classic uniform, maybe we'll see it stick around as a third jersey. Maybe we will even see the Wild finally get some new home and away uniforms that aren't completely different color schemes, or different color schemes, if you get my drift, where the away jersey is a white jersey with green and red, where their home uniform is a dark green jersey with beige and red with a chest stripe on the front. You know. It would be nice if their uniforms matched a little bit more, even though I do respect the argument, though, that I have had some people say to me that, well, having a pair of different designs as your home and away jerseys that are different uniform styles is unique, too. And I have to confess, I do think they are right. Even though I do think it's time for Minnesota to have their uniforms match a little bit more. But as I say that, man, am I ever grateful that at least they wear dark green at home again. I think we can all come to the conclusion that at least, hey, they're wearing green at home again instead of red, which is long overdue. Other reverse retros, I saw the Oilers reverse retro. It's not bad. The orange pants I'm not used to seeing. But, at least the Oilers have a jersey in their arsenal that uses royal blue again. I'd like to see them go back to royal blue. And I don't know why, but I'm starting to have this funny feeling that it might actually happen. I hear a lot of fans aren't big lovers of the orange and navy blue, especially the fact that they wear orange at home. I mean, honestly, I'd take their third jersey as their full-time home jersey over their current home jersey, because at least it's blue. And I think their third jersey is extremely mediocre. I love the crest, but the rest of the uniform is too dull. It almost reminds me of a counterfeit jersey, to be honest with you. The monochrome on it, I'm not a fan. I don't like it one bit. So, moving on, Toronto wore their reverse retro. It's garbage. Gray on royal blue with a royal blue crest and royal blue numbers on a royal blue jersey. It's a disaster. They've got the Ballard leaf on the shoulders. They've got the 67 leaf as the crest. They've got the gray on the blue. It's, just a dumpster fire of a uniform. I would argue it's the worst uniform in Leafs history. No, really. I think it's that bad. And I don't think a lot of people are going to agree with me there. But yeah, it's a terrible uniform. I've also seen the Rangers Lady Liberty reverse retro. It's so mediocre. I mean, they took a design that so many fans actually really love, and they made it worse. They made it so dull, they made it so mediocre, it looks almost like a boring-ass practice uniform. It sucks. I hope it never comes back. If they want to bring back the Lady Liberty, that's fine, but bring back the original design or don't bother. Do not keep this reverse retro. It looks so dark and drab. The white accenting on the numbers and the player names, on the lettering of the players' names, that being gone makes the jersey far too dull. And also taking all of the color on the sleeves away too. Stupid. The Flyers, I believe, have worn their reverse retro with the black on the orange. It's not the worst reverse retro. I mean, it's kind of hard for the Flyers to really pick anything or do much with a reverse retro design because of how few uniforms they've worn in their history. But for its being a reverse retro uniform, it's okay. But it's not my cup of tea. I wish that they could have just pulled out an 80s throwback instead. It would be way better. I actually think that even something like an orange flip of their current third jersey would be an alright reverse something jersey. And according to my viewer King Angus, it sounds like this one-off program is going to be something that changes every year, where they do something new every year, which I'll probably end up doing a video on that, but I'm not a fan of that. I'm just not a fan of that idea. It should be something every couple of years. I don't know. I don't really care for the idea of all these extra uniforms every single year. But hey, that's probably just me. Another reverse retro that I've heard about or seen is the Jets. I think it's better than their third jersey. It's got more character to it. I think it's a lot less boring. I actually think it's not bad. I would rather that be their third jersey than their current aviator blue uniform, which isn't the worst uniform, but I'd rather see them keep that dark gray jersey around. I actually think it's got more creativity, more life to it, less boring. Any other reverse retros that I've seen? The Flames Blasty jersey. I saw it last night. I mean, I'm happy for the Flames fans that have wanted a Blasty jersey to come back, but they took the original design and they made it worse. It looks too much like a modernized Canucks 90s jersey with the striping and that big italicized font. I'm not a fan. You know what they should have done? They should have just taken the red stripe off the top of the striping on the arms and the waist and left everything below that alone instead. That would have given that jersey the much needed extra coloring that I think it needs, just so that also it stands out from the Canucks 90s uniforms in a good way. But you know, I'll say this, and as I said this on my Discord last night, you know, if Calgary wanted to bring back the original Blasty uniform as a third jersey for a while, I could live with that. But if they want to keep their reverse retro sticking around, that I don't want to see. I just don't. They took an average design from the late 90s, 2000s, and in my opinion, they've made it worse. The white flaming C on the shoulders looks good, but that uniform, it looks to me like, you know, they thought, well, we've got a bunch of Canucks players on our team now. Let's make a uniform that's kind of like the Canucks uniforms. Good going, Calgary. I'm not a fan. What other reverse retros have I seen as of late? The Blues, I think, have worn their red reverse retro. It's okay. I mean, it's a little bit crazy. I mean, for some short-term usage, since they brought the 90s throwback out anyway last season, and they are keeping it this year, which I think is good, that they're keeping it for a couple of seasons. You know, for the reverse retro program, I think it's a fun jersey for that, but hopefully, I don't think seeing the Blues in red is right. I did see Montreal's reverse retro. The jersey looks good, but it just doesn't feel right to me seeing Montreal wearing blue. The Pittsburgh Penguins reverse retro, it actually looked very good. I'm a fan of that uniform. And I actually think it's way better than their current third jersey, to be honest. That is a third jersey I'd like to see Pittsburgh keep around. Or even bring back the original black one from the mid-90s. That as a third jersey would go great with their home and away jerseys. I think that would be a great set with the skating penguin with the gold triangle in the background on the shoulders, instead of the triangle-less penguin from their third jersey. So, what other uniforms have I seen? Tampa Bay wore their reverse retro recently in the past few days. That should be their home jersey with a matching away. It's their best jersey. It's the nicest Tampa Bay Lightning jersey I have ever seen. It looks fabulous. I mean, do I agree with people that their logo is a bit dated? Yes. But let's all agree on one thing. I think we can all agree on one thing. It's so much better than their lifeless home and away jerseys they got now. For sure. Also, what other uniforms do I want to think about here? I think Columbus wore theirs. It was interesting seeing the Blue Jackets wearing a red jersey for the first time. Any others that I can think of off the top of my head? I'm actually looking forward to Florida wearing their reverse retro. I think it's going to be a one that's well received, and I think it's actually going to stick around as a third. And so it should. It's not the best Panthers jersey in franchise history in my opinion, but it's so much better than their mediocre home and away jerseys. I'm sorry folks, but I've lost my liking of those uniforms. I feel like they tried too hard to play. They tried too hard to create a uniform design that is new. They did, to me, it was more of a sake of change for the sake of change rather than creating a pair of great uniforms. Now, their home and away jerseys are not bad, but I don't know, I'm not a fan of the new gold. I'm not a fan of the new soccer crest, sports car crest logo. I just, Florida's jerseys and the shoulder numbers too, I've never been sold on their new uniforms. And they don't look as good in the Adidas era as they did for the 1 year they wore them during the Reebok Edge era either. What other uniforms? Is there any other ones that I can think of that we've seen? The Predators are getting ready to wear their reverse retro. I mean, I didn't think silver on yellow would be decent, but considering their home jersey is so mediocre, I'd rather Nashville switch to their reverse retro full-time as their home uniform over their current one. I mean, at least it's got some style to it. It doesn't look plain and boring. I'm drawing a bit of a blank here. Is there any other reverse retros that have made their debuts? Ottawa is going to be wearing theirs today. Their red one. The black numbers on it, I don't care for it. There's too much black on that jersey. But overall, though, for a reverse retro, that one's okay. But yeah, so I've seen some of the reverse retros. There's some of them like Minnesota's and Florida's that are not bad. Edmonton's is okay too. I've seen some. Pittsburgh's is quite decent. I'm looking forward to seeing New Jersey's and the Islanders reverse retros, which I'm sure most people disagree with me on. If you do, I totally understand. And I'm also very much looking forward to finally seeing Chicago's reverse retro uniform too. So, there's some reverse retros that I think are actually not bad, but a lot of them, I'm just not a big lover of them. I'm just not. But yeah, if it's true that they're going to be keeping this type of annual special event jersey program around, I'm going to be curious to see what they come up with in the coming years. That's going to be something to keep an eye on. But I must say one thing, though. The Super Bowl, I think, will be a great game today. I think even the halftime show is going to be decent for a change. Last year's was not bad, but I don't know. It didn't really, I don't know. It wasn't my cup of tea. But I'm more worried about the big game than the halftime show, for the record. But I'm looking forward to the Bucks and the Chiefs. Two great teams with two great quarterbacks. But if I were to make a prediction right now, I actually think that Tom Brady's going to win another Super Bowl today. I kind of think that maybe, I think it's possible that Patrick Mahomes may still be a little bit injured, where I don't think Tom Brady has been injured at all. And I think Tom Brady's going to be ready to go. And his team has just looked fantastic all postseason and all season long. So, we'll see. I mean, the Chiefs have been fantastic too. But, I don't know. I kind of think that there's a little bit, I don't know what it is about Tampa. I think it's kind of their defense and Tom Brady that I think gives them the edge, and I think will propel them to a second Super Bowl victory in franchise history. But anyways, you guys have been talking for almost 29 minutes. I'm going to call it a wrap on this video. I hope it was worth your time if you listened all the way through. And until the next podcast video next Sunday, or my next videos in general, take care, and as I always say, bye for now. And may the best team win today in the Super Bowl. All right, guys, have a great day and a great week too. Bye for now.